speech title is Check, Check, Check. Check, check, check. Toastmaster Prithvi.
Wash hands with soap. Check. Clean patient's skin with antiseptic. Check. Put sterile drapes over entire patient. Check. Put on sterile gloves, mask, hat and gown. Check. Put sterile dressing over catheter site. Check. In 2004, this was the scene in every operation theater in 9 major hospitals in the state of Michigan in the US. They started a new procedure that brought dramatic results almost overnight. In 3 months, this procedure had cut the infection rate by 66%. In 18 months, this procedure had saved $75 million in healthcare costs and the lives of 1,500 people. What was this new procedure? Well, the answer will confound you all. It was checklists. Yes, checklists. Not a new miracle drug, not some new robot doing the surgeries, just checklists. The project was known as the Keystone ICU project, and the goal was to see if checklists would make an impact on the productivity in ICUs and operation theaters. There was a 5-step process that the doctor had to follow before treating a patient. The nurses were asked to keep in count how many of the steps were followed in each case. In 1 out of 3 patients, a doctor forgot at least 1 step. This was made famous by the author Atul Gawande in his book, The Checklist Manifesto. Now, let us think about this for a second. There was no new pharmaceutical innovation, no breakthrough technology, just plain old checklists. Something that everyone already knows. But everyone already knows doesn't mean everyone already does it? In Irvine, California, there is an investment firm by the name Pabri Investment Funds. It has over $500 million in its portfolio. The managing partner, Mr. Pabri, recognized this checklist theory and looked at its effects on the medical field. He did some own research into his field and figured out a dozen mistakes that most investors tend to make, including people like Warren Buffett. He devised a checklist of 70 checks that could prevent these dozen mistakes from happening. He implemented that checklist in his organization and predicted that it would slow things down because it would take the team more time, new additional checks and balances. Contrary to his belief, the process actually made it faster. The reason being, when their team used to go into any investment proposition, they used to go in very deep. And by the time they figured out that it was a bad investment, it was already 3 days into the investment the cycle. So with this new checklist, they could finish it in a couple of hours, less time. In 1 year, this firm was up 100%. The fund had grown by 100%, doubled whatever it was doing. On January 14th, 2009, a flight took off from LaGuardia Airport in New York City. Within 90 seconds, they came in contact with Canadian geese and lost both engines. The pilot, Chesley Sullenberger, popularly known as Sully, landed the plane on the Hudson River. This incident was known as the Miracle on the Hudson. It was regarded as one of the greatest actions in aviation history. Later in an interview, Sully confirmed that it was only possible because of proper teamwork that we were able to save the lives of all of those passengers and crew members without losing a single life. It was checklists that they had in place that they made sure the communication between the pilots, the crew, and the authorities was there beforehand so that they could work as a team in case of such emergencies. Now, let's face it, you and me probably don't have to cut open people, make an investment decision worth millions of dollars, or fly a commercial airliner. But I'm sure all of us could use checklists in simple everyday situations. Maybe a trip to the supermarket, maybe a dish we have been preparing, or maybe conducting a Toastmaster meeting just like this. Pilots and doctors with decades of experience rely on checklists. I think it's worth noting that they are good because they rely on checklists. It's up to you to decide whether checklists are worthy of your time. But for me, checklists are the way to go.